Welcome back to Experience Points, a show in which I talk about games that I haven't yet completed in order to give you an idea as to whether or not I think this game is worth your time. So, today I'm going to talk to you guys about Project Octopath Traveler, or I guess it's just called Octopath Traveler now. I'll start off by getting the one complaint that I have about this game out of the way, because it's not even really much of a complaint, but for some people it will be a turn-off. There are random battle encounters in the game, so if that's something that bugs you, well, that's probably going to bug you here too. The encounter rate, though, isn't really all that bad. So let's start talking about everything else that this game does right. Octopath Traveler, first and foremost, is a beautiful game. You can see this right now. This is immediately evident as soon as you start playing the game that, wow, this is what we thought games, oh my gosh, how can I best describe this? Project Octopath Traveler looks the way that older RPGs feel. Suppose 10 years ago, somebody put you in a room and made you play Final Fantasy IV on Super Nintendo and you loved it, and then they took that game away from you forever and you never saw another game again. This is what you imagined that game felt like. This is how that memory felt. And they captured the old school memory of that aesthetic from the Super Nintendo, or even maybe the PlayStation era, because it actually has a 3D plane that you walk around on. It's kind of like an evolution of the Xenogears and Grandia sort of style. Anyways, so obviously, visually, it's stunning. The music in this game is also something else. It reminds me a lot of Suikoden. It's got a lot of acoustic guitar that they play in it, some piano that kind of seems reminiscent of Chrono Trigger. These guys are doing nostalgia games right, I have to say. And also on the subject of audio, the voice acting in this game is far better than this game has any right to be. It's really good.
Heard another would-be fortune hunter was tossed in the dungeons yesterday.
So what's the count now?
A score? Maybe more?
It's not fully voice acted, but there are certain scenes that are, and each time a new character speaks, they'll have maybe one phrase or one little interjection that they'll exclaim as they start to talk, which is nice. It's music to my ears. But let's talk about gameplay here, because the gameplay of Octopath Traveler up to this point is, well, it's fantastic. The game has 8 different characters that you play as, and each one has a unique skill. There are some people, I think there's 2 sets of people that have similar skills, like the dancer and the cleric have this ability to have people follow along with them, and they can summon these people in battle to assist. The knight and Hanneth the archer have this ability to allow them to duel with people. There are different skills that you can glean information from various characters. So I guess that's sort of the same between the scholar and the apothecary. They can both investigate pretty well. So I guess that's kind of interesting. I just noticed that. I wonder if the other... No, who else was there? There was the thief, who can steal items, and then there's the merchant, who can purchase items. Interesting. So these 8 characters, they all actually seem to have, there's the 4 good and the 4 less than good, who have abilities that sort of mirror each other. I wonder how that's going to come into play later down the road. That's actually kind of interesting. Anyways, so within combat, these characters are all really fun to play as. They all have different abilities, like the apothecary can concoct things to make healing items on the fly. The thief can steal things, and actually so can the merchant, now that I think about it. Yeah, so it's really neat how they're making this work, and it seems like the stories are all sort of interconnected a little bit. So in this demo, you're allowed to play for about 3 hours. Each of the individual characters that you start as, their stories seem to take about a half hour to an hour or so before it lets you out into the world, at which point you can freely explore within certain boundaries, and you can go and collect other people to join your party. And here's something that's kind of interesting about the game. So far, none of the stories have been save the world so far. I mean, it could still happen, but up to this point, each of the motivating factors for each of these characters is just very personal. It's a very personalized story for each of these 8 characters, and that's why they've sought out on these journeys, on these quests, and banded together for their own personal reasons. I'm really curious to see the direction that this finally goes once you're allowed to get more than 3 hours into the game. I've played through the game like 4 times, so I'm about 12 hours in, but only about 3 hours deep, if that makes sense. I have a real good feeling about this game. I am going to be picking this up when it comes out because, oh my god, I think that this is the potential to be my possibly game of the year. And I've only gotten 3 hours deep. How do I feel this way about this game so far? It's insane, but it's insanely good. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. This is just me talking about my time with the demo. Unless they find a way to really screw this game up, then I think this is going to be just fantastic. Oh, and here's something else that I also just found out. There's going to be no DLC for the game. The project creator, he says there's not going to be any DLC because the product is finished. How cool is that? That they have no plans to make any DLC because there's no need. The story is told in its entirety. You don't need to go download patches to unlock character customizations. Oh yeah, character customizations. That's something else that this game introduces. You can unlock perks for your character's jobs with job points, which you earn through battle. And then as you unlock these job skills, you also unlock these assisting skills, and your characters... It does this interesting thing where even though your characters are stupidly weak, sometimes it feels like they're really weak, they also feel really powerful when you use them correctly. The game really rewards you for thinking your moves out and exploiting enemy weaknesses. It's one of those kinds of games that makes you play every move and think ahead. There's also this mechanic where you can build up battle points, or boost points rather, that allow you to increase the number of attacks that you get per turn as like a one-off sort of deal, or basically just greatly increase the amount of damage output that you do through like a spell or something. And if you time these right, especially during boss battles, you can break an enemy's defenses and make them lose a turn, which is extremely helpful when enemies do this thing where they start to go into these crazed modes where they are going to do massive damage. Well, you can either play defensively by actually defending, or if you have enough boost points, you can exploit their weakness hard enough that it just knocks them off balance, basically. And that is really, really cool. I like the fact that this game is also not afraid to kick your butt in the demo. I've died a few times in the demo just from being careless. It's one of those games that's going to make you pay attention to it. And I like that a lot. This game, I think, is a game made for us old school RPG fans. It's made to not just draw on our nostalgia heartstrings, but also to remember what was great about those games of old and make them new again, instead of just trying to make them prettier with, polygons. And I guess in a way this game sort of does that, but in a way that honors the originals. The game is on Switch. It's a Switch exclusive. There's a demo out right now, and all I can really say is go play it. If you haven't played it yet, if you have a Switch and you like RPGs and you haven't played this demo, there is almost no reason not to go play it right now. This is a fantastic way to spend some time with your Switch. I know that there's a lot of good games on the Switch that are competing for your time, but really, I think that this is going to be a console-selling game for us RPG fans, guys. This is really good, and I hope that, I really hope that this game starts setting some trends because it does so many things right. So thank you for joining me, guys, and I'll see you around.